welcome to the commencement of the third day of our event. May today's discussion be as enlightening and productive as the preceding days. Your presence here fortifies the spirit of knowledge sharing and collaboration. Thank you for joining us. Esteemed guests, we are honored to commence this day's proceedings with the fourth keynote talk of the symposium. I invite the esteemed session chair, Professor Zafer Utlu, to the stage to introduce and guide us through this enlightening session. Professor Zafer Utlu is a distinguished figure in the field of mechanical engineering, holding the esteemed position of full professor at Koç University. He earned his Master of Science and PhD in Energy from Ege University in 2003, establishing a solid foundation for his illustrious career. With an extended breadth of expertise in the thermodynamic analysis, Professor Utlu's focus spans across an impressive array of areas, including energy and exergy analysis, renewable energy technologies, zero-energy buildings, energy storages, solar energy applications, heat pumps, waste heat recovery technologies, thermophotovoltaic systems, hydrogen production, and power cycles. His invaluable contributions extend beyond academia with over 30 projects under his guidance as a coordinator, researcher, and consultant. Professor Utlu's involvement in numerous national and international projects, supported by esteemed institutions such as the Scientific and Technological Research Council of Turkey, British Council, UNDP, ISTKA, and industry partners, underscores his commitment to advancing energy-related research and technologies. His scholarly impact is widely recognized through a multitude of rapid papers published on both international and national platforms. Additionally, he is a proud member of the esteemed World Society of Sustainable Energy Technologies. In his capacity as the head of Sustainable Energy System Research and Application Center, Professor Utlu exemplifies leadership and dedication to fostering innovation and sustainability with the realm of energy. With such a distinguished background and invaluable expertise, Professor Zafer Utlu stands as a beacon of knowledge and guidance, poised to enrich and enlighten this symposium's discussions. Please welcome Professor.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to last keynote talk. And also, I am inviting Professor Erbaşlı for his speech about exergy management metrics, proposal, and agnostic approach. Professor Erbaşlı, we are waiting, and also
So, Professor Alarak has developed energy-related issues for 41 years. He spent working in the Izmir industry for 10 years and remarked at different domestic and abroad universities. He has been working as a faculty member in the Department of Energy System Engineering at Yaşar University for the last 11 years. He has served as a counsel for the industry in cases involving his research area and is also a member in the International Advisory Board of different prestigious energy-related journals.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, dear ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Zia. Why? Why? There is only one reason for giving an opportunity to me to play with scientific words of today. Okay. And also history. Every task requires a teamwork, a very successful teamwork. And also, I am very happy to see all of my friends here. This is also another opportunity for us because this kind of events have different aspects. To me, the most important thing is that to see our friends is also another opportunity for us. What we are going to today? Today, we are going to focus on a new concept. Why a new concept? Later we are going to see why it is new. And why it is so much important. We are going to understand at the end of this presentation. And also, maybe we already discussed about the last point. There are 3 words, exergy. The second one, management. Management is also a keyword, management. Everybody feels that I am a manager. But if you are a manager, if you are feeling yourself as a manager, you should consider 3 functions. 3 functions, manager or management. Planning, organization, control. If you can never consider these 3 pillars, planning, organization, control, there is a Turkish word. The third word is changing to Turkish cane. The result will be bad. Therefore, management or manager is on the key item. Matrix or matrix. Oh, maybe you are very familiar. Matrix. English people say matrix. Ibrahim Hocam, Robin Hood. Based on the Robin Hood English, we can say that word, which is matrix. Why I wrote matrix? There is only one reason. Because if I could write matrix, my task was very, very difficult. My work has been difficult because I need to produce 2 new things with the letter act. In that case, I will have 2 actors. My text is getting more and more difficult. To make it easier, I used Robin Hood English in this presentation. Okay, we will go, we will continue. Please look at this. I always, let's come to an agreement. No relations, there is only one simple relation in this presentation. I like making my presentations without including so much relations because it will be more complex to understand by the audience. Therefore, exergy management maps or matrix. And you can use my presentation, but we should be very careful. If we use something from any kind of sources, we need to cite it. Unfortunately, from time to time, on the internet, based on my observation, I write something, then I see that another one used my source without citation. It is not good. It is an unethical issue. We should be very careful about this issue. And what about today's outline? First, I will give you not some, in a more detailed introduction information about this issue, followed by other items. Common approach to management system standards. There are different standards. And approach B. Why approach B? In the last few years, I have changed my direction by using this approach. I like it very much. Why I like it very much? You will see. I am going to prove it. You will see that. And exergy versus energy. Exergy management versus energy management. And this time I wrote, as you see, matrix. And how we can convert it to an acrostic approach by using these three key items. Going through this item. If I can go through this elements of this item, maybe I need to talk at least 3 hours. Due to time limitation, I am going to select some of them to use the time very efficiently. And introduction. What is the origin of the word matrix? Maybe you are wondering about this issue. Why I wrote this Robin Hood English. You see, from Middle English matrix, from Old French. Therefore, I selected this one. This is the proof of this selection. And there are different types of matrices in the literature. For example, you want to change a system, something. It is not easy task to change something. You need to use an approach because everybody will be against you. Yes, why I should apply this? Why I should follow this? You will get a lot of resistance. We are very familiar with this issue from our daily life. For example, by using this changing management matrix, your task will be easy to implement. Also, there is another matrix we can use. And you have a lot of issues. For example, when I was working for a private company, there were a lot of things to be done, but some of them urgent, some of them important. I remember one day, in 1987, what happened? We had a lot of tasks, but somebody called us because by our boss, it was a simple task, but it was very important because it comes from the top management. You should consider this. The factor increased. It is important, but not. It is urgent, but not so much important. It's a very small thing. But then we should fulfill this requirement. This is another matrix. And energy exergy management matrix. We highlighted this matrix in 2014 at that time. Just with a word. How we can create an exergy management matrix. Only with one sentence, without giving more detail about this issue. Then what happened? For example, I would like to talk about our university because there is a link between today's talk and our university. Our university is the first university in Turkey. It achieved 7 years ago energy management system certificate. It is also at the time it was very important. 7 years ago, can you imagine? In our university, there is only this issue. If you have other management-related certificates or systems, your task is easier. You can integrate it into that one. And there is enough culture for this. But at that time, no culture. Then we got it in our university. At that time, at the beginning of this issue, we had 6 certified energy managers in our universities. Nowadays, it reduced to 5. And you see, a lot of tasks, a lot of time. We consumed a lot of time for this issue. Maybe you are wondering about what happens in Turkey related to this issue. You see, the number of universities in Turkey, 208. at the Middle East Technical University. Direkt hocam. As I remember, in 1996, I moved from the private sector to the university. At that time, I invented an investigation on energy management issues. At that time, at the middle of technical university, can you imagine 8,000 tons of oil equivalent yearly energy consumption? Can you imagine? I got this number. 8,000. But, for example, Asia University, the same, RGF University, 5,000 tons of equivalent energy consumption yearly. But there was no system, no energy manager, no system at that time. For industry, the government says if your yearly energy consumption is larger than 2,000, you should establish an energy management structure. What about universities? Nothing is done at that time. Can you imagine? Today, only 2 universities have this kind of certificate. It is not easy task. You should give your daily issues. Then you need to focus on this issue. It is not easy issues. And I hope this number will increase in coming years. And what about the energy managers? What about the number of energy managers? Certified energy managers. For example, over 11,000. Over 11,000 energy managers are available in Turkey. This is a very important information. Why? I will explain later. And also, I like to play with words. For example, energy exergy, advisor, consultant, pipe tube. For example, pipe tube, the same in Turkish. Steam vapor, the same in Turkish. Length, total length, effective length. Customer client. Consider taking account. If you are dealing with energy management system standard, you need to understand the difference between consider and take into account. There are some important differences. Evaluation assessment. I can increase the number of this kind of words. Anyway, we can start with this simple question. This is the very simple question. Energy use versus energy consumption. Which of the following is related to energy use? I am afraid we have difficulties in understanding between 2 words. The first one, energy use. The second one is energy consumption. For example, which one is correct? Which one? Related to energy use. You see, this is not correct. This is energy unit, this is power. This is wrong, incorrect. But this sentence is correct. I will explain later. What about the second sentence? And energy target. Energy target is very important. If you are talking about energy target, you need to consider 3 key items. I will pass very quickly. And I can increase an object. What is important, we are going to see later. Common approach to management system standards. It is also very important. I always try to explain this issue. For example, it may be, let's say, energy management system standard. It may be quality management system standard. It may be, let's say, environmental management system standard. Whatever it is not so much important. What is important? These 3 keywords. Continually improve the performance. Yesterday, Professor Günçer asked a question about how we can apply this to ourselves. For example, you can apply this approach to yourself. It is very important. It is not related to any kind of standard. It is also related to us. I always say it. And I am going to repeat it every time when I have an opportunity, because we as people, we need to apply this approach to ourselves continually. But again, there is a trick, not continuously. In Turkish, we say the same word, sürekli. But continuously, totally different from each other. Here, continually, because there is a purpose, as you can see, improve. Here, we need to improve ourselves until dying without sleeping. And performance. We have two performances. Being a good person, being very good in the area he or she works. Approach which can be applied to ourselves. Anyway, this is, and this is also another simple question. I always ask the question. Please consider two standards. Two standards. We have two standards, or norms, or regulations. And please look at the question, and we are going to decide about this question. There are two standards. One is, let's say, a total of 30 pages. Another one, let's say, a total of 20 pages. One is 20, another one is 30 pages. How you can decide which standard is more difficult to implement? How we can decide? Do you know? If you have some idea, I can give a gift to you. Outside this audience, there are a lot of gifts available. I can use one of them for you. Do you have any idea? One standard consists of 20 pages, another standard takes 100 pages. Which is more difficult to implement? How you can decide? Do you have any idea? This is very, very important. Why? You need to understand the meaning, the real meaning of these magic words. For example, shall. Shall. If you see the word shall, you should be very, very careful. This is a kind of requirement. You shall fulfill it. What are you going to do? You are going to count this word shall. How many shells we have in this number? When the number of shells is increasing, this means our difficulties to implement is increasing. This is a simple information for you. Therefore, very, very important this issue. Please look at standards. I counted this myself. Please get in the first version, for example, there is a wrong page. We need to remove that. Sorry for this. And 22 page, the number of shells 83. In the second version, let's say this, for example, for quality management, the number is that one. Because this number indicates the requirements. It is very important. In Turkish, we call it melimalı. It is also important. Acrostic-based exegetic talks. I wrote this kind of presentation in different events, but that one, I am trying to find it. I remember that one. Yes. In the second one, I had promised to write the most feeling acrostic poem for my wife at that time. What I did, I wrote it for my wife in France, you see, to my wife. This is the reality. And you see, my darling Fevziye, the acrostic, you can use, I used the first letters of this. You can use different places. If you want to produce a code, this is not my business. You can also use this approach. I use it. And exergy energy. Only one word related to this exergy, entropy, energy. I like this analogy, which has not been proposed by me. I like. We as exergetic people carry exergy in our heart. We are always together with our exergy in our heart. This is a very good representation of this issue. This is the summary. I like it very much. Very, very much. And what happens energy? What happens with entropy, exergy? But this is the best illustration of this issue. I like it. You know, everybody uses this one. For example, where is energy? Do you have an idea? Where is energy? Exergy. Where is exergy? Do you have an idea? Where is exergy? I carry it with me. This is our, what is this? This is our exergy. I am going to test. This is our exergy. Okay, exergy is here, it does. What about this is energy? Because never at the beginning, at the end, this the tube itself is our energy. No change, no increases, no decrease. This is all. What about that entropy? This side entropy. This is entropy. At the beginning, it was in that way. When I am going to use it, what happens? The form is changing. Depression, as you see. This side is entropy. Entropy, the tube itself is energy. This is our exergy. Because this is the useful part. You can never use this one in that way. Impossible. But you can use that. This was only a summary of these three concepts. And there are different definitions I summarized in that paper. Different definitions related to exergy. I will pass very quickly, but I like that definition. The second one, I like it very much. The capacity of energy to cause change. If there is a change, this means exergy is that. I like the second definition. The other ones related to, the other ones focuses on its thermodynamic aspect. Different types of, and also we can use this exergy approach to assess the performance of scientific people. If we can look at only the number of papers, this is a kind of energetic evaluation. But if we can use this exergy-based index for our papers, let's say published, and then you see, please, what time it was published, 2011. Since then, I didn't see any papers related to this story. Only one paper, maybe there was another extension, its extension, but no studies have been done. I'm also thinking about this issue, how we can produce an exergetic indicator, indices, whatever you can say, for assessing the performance of scientific people. Also, you can use that. This is my energy exergy definition. Again, I used acrostic approach. Energy is money. If you can ask me what is energy, I'll always say money. With one word. Energy is like this money. Money. Energy is money. Force. Why we have force? One of the important reasons is that one. Because energy is money, even cash. Leading towards exerts the quality of energy and uses the potential of energy for causing changes. Nobody can technically consume or produce it. Impossible. And X-ray is the best illustration of its difference from energy. So we can increase this definition. This is the difference between energy and energy by considering an acrostic approach. Exergy management versus energy management. Please look at the date, 2008. In Turkey, for example, every year we have energy week. But the second week of every January, every year, we have this event. At that event, we have this elder person. Ziya Hocam, you will remember this person. I had that time, I had a presentation, I changed this approach. We could see waste energy. Always there was this, don't waste energy. I changed this, don't waste energy, by making this presentation. Okay, this is a summary of some words. This exergy management, energy management, exergy management system, energy management system. You see the development of this concept. At that time, 2008, exergy management, there were only 9 results, which belonged to me. At that time, I proposed a course, exergy management, how we can apply this one. Then you see the number of exergy management system, 1,200. Then you can consider, for example, energy management system, 55 million. Then you see the difference. But the number of exergy-related issues is increasing, but not so much. Very, very slowly. I'm exergy manager. This is my second test. How we can establish, how we can implement this issue throughout the country. How we can apply this. If we can visit my site, my Google Scholar on the web, you will see certified energy manager, non-certified exergy manager. Why am I writing this? To send a message to the government. Please try to apply this throughout the country, because we have approximately 11,000 energy managers. There are very limited exergy managers which have been certified in another event I am going to explain later. This is also very, very important. And 7 years ago, we made this publication. How we can produce this exergy management system standard. How we can establish this. It is very, very important. Unfortunately, we couldn't apply it. This is exergy management approach produced by me. Coming back to energy management matrix. Okay, this is the approach. Again, there are some matrices related to energy management system. Why this simple matrix is very useful? Let me explain with one word. For example, you are going to visit a company. Just try to understand the weaknesses and strengths of this company in terms of energy management system standard. You need only 2 or 3 minutes. Within 2 or 3 minutes, you can decide about the structure of energy management system of that company. Maybe it is better to say organization, because the word organization includes companies, universities, firms, whatever, and you are going to understand the structure of that organization within 2 minutes. Therefore, this kind of matrices are very useful to save time, to implement this issue in a short time. Those are some matrices produced by considering energy management approach. And that was my book published in Turkish, energy management. That is our executive management matters. This is my proposal to you. What I did, I used this one. You see, many people are very familiar with this score list. TÜBİTAK uses different types of tables. And you see, you can consider this number to assess the project. In some cases, from 1 to 6, in some cases, from 1 to 4. In my case, from 1 to 5. 1 fair, 2 poor, 3 fair, 4 good, 5 very good. And what we do, we use this to assess the proposals, the presentations, and the final reports of students. By using in our university this approach to assess the performance of final reports proposals. And I consider this approach and I produce that matrix. Please look at this one. Again, in the acrostic manner. As you see, executive policy, explain, executive management, resources, guiding data, yardstick yield, management, monitoring, awareness, normalization, like this matrix. And as you see, there are 23 keywords to assess the performance of any kind of organization. You need to consider this 23 keywords. What are those? And you see, there is an example on it, as you see, scores. Then I propose this approach, approximately each of these 3 executive management matrices. There is a very simple relation here. Then, at the end of this simple calculation, you can find a value. And this value indicates you the performance of that system in terms of executive management system. This is my proposal to you. And now I am going to do this items. Executive policy. For example, executive policy is very important. In Turkey, there aren't any organization. There isn't any organization with executive policy. Have you heard about it? What do you think, Professor Berek? What do you think about executive policy? Energy policy or executive policy? Policy, you are very familiar with policy, but exercise, it is very, very important. This is an example. It is not easy to write a kind of policy because there are a number of, again, requirements you need to consider them. It was an example. Explained. Yesterday, in the first day, Professor Dinçer indicated this one. I also indicate that one. Excel. This is our exercise, and therefore, if we can focus on exercise, but there is another approach here. Let me explain. Maybe you are hearing this concept now. If you can search on the internet, process exercise map. You can never find this one. Even process energy map. There are a number of organizations in Turkey. Unfortunately, no process energy maps. No. Factories. And now I am saying energy, process energy map. We didn't finalize the first one. You are going to propose us. What are you sure? Are you living in Turkey or in space? On where do you live? This is my proposal. It is awesome. But when I'm talking about process exercise, these items should be included. It is very, very important. Energy. This time we are going to change energy source, energy use, process step, and the other items. When looking at this map, you are going to get a lot of information. Consider that one. You are going to draw in terms of executive approach. I mean that one. This is my approach. Executive manager. What we did, executive manager. Up to date, I reached the number 30. There is a Turkish issue. Do you know? 41. This is the magic number. If we can repeat something 31 times, based on another belief, they can say, yes, we will finalize it. I have 11 times left. We always repeat it. And we realized it. Together with Professor Ibrahim Dinçer, we asked our team, we finalized it for the first time, not in Turkey, in the world, not in Turkey. And at that time, we had an exercise course, and we extended our course by covering exercise-related issues. Then, as you see here, 26 people attended this training course. Then, as you see, the distribution of people, and then they were very successful in getting this certificate for the first time in Turkey. Our main objective, there are 11,000 people. What we can do? We can organize and extended courses and advanced courses, in other words, by the ministry, by the government, and we can extend this issue throughout the country. It is very, very easy task. Unfortunately, I was not successful in implementing this issue. I have communicated with the ministry, I have communicated many people working in Ankara. Unfortunately, they are very busy with dealing other tests. They didn't enough time to listen to us, to me. I also told them, please invite me, I can explain our idea, and you are saying national, you are saying domestic. This is not domestic and national. That is a very good idea. And we could be a very good example for other countries. But I will continue on my way. This is another issue. Resources also very important in that keyword, because top management has some responsibilities. If I can say in an organization, I am a certified executive manager. Nobody can listen to you. Top management has responsibilities. The people give you money. Without money, what you can do? You support people. You need some people to work together. They offer people to you so that you can realize your ideas. And this is also very important. I will talk another issue. This is my another job is normalization. Who can tell me? There is again one simple question. Young people, I will give you 1,000 Turkish lira. I will send your account. I will give you 1,000 Turkish lira. Okay, for you, only young generation. Can you tell me, okay, and normalized unit, energy unit. Please tell me a normalized energy unit. Very simple question. There are different units, but there is one unit which has been normalized. What is this? Very simple question. 1,000 Turkish lira. You use it. I am sure you use it. I am sure You have enough emotion about it. Please tell me. Maybe you have used it many, many times, but you didn't understand that it is a kind of normalized unit. Energy. I am talking about which is. Let me explain. We can start that one. Tons of oil equivalent. We use it. We always use it.
Last 5
And normalized unit of energy. Okay.
Last 5.
I'm finishing. And normalized unit of energy. Why? If we can, because electricity is energy. Steam is energy. Fuel is energy. Fuel is a kind of energy. Please consider an organization in which natural gas is used. In other words, dollars. And also electricity is used. Let's say euro. And another fuel. Let's say you have $10. You have 200 Turkish liras. Another person has this kind of fuels. But how we can compare these people? Which is rich, which is poor? What we can do? We need to normalize it. We need to convert it to a common unit, which is dollar, maybe Turkish lira, so that we can compare. This is a normalized unit of energy. You use, but you should think over. What about normalization? It is also very, very important. In Turkey, this is the main problem. There are a number of organizations, they use simple payment method. It is not enough to assess the economic performance of various projects. You need to use additional indicators, economic indicators, net present value, and those, etc. This is also very important. Just right? Very simple. Kilowatt hour divided by ton, divided by square meter. This is a kind of simple payback period. It is not enough to assess the performance. And you need to normalize it. You need to compare apples. It is reality. It is not done in our country. Just they use the first part, not normalized. It is also very important. And auditor, exercise auditors. We need not energy auditors. We need this kind of certification program. Exercise auditors. Exercise auditing. Not energetic auditing. We are a kind of auditors. But the word of auditor has another back in Old English. You can go to any kind of dictionary. I will focus on it technical side. It is also very, very important to see some people exercising auditor. This will be a kind of job. And also another issue, exercising, I will pass this one, measurement. Measurement is also very important. There are very interesting words related to measurement. It is also very important. I will show one or two things. Professor Zafar, okay. In 2 minutes, I am going to finish it. Target training. It is very important. Training target. Those are keywords, as you see. In this approach, every word is very crucial, about which we can talk long time, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Therefore, this approach is very, very crucial because it includes the key items to be considered in the assessment of this kind of organization. And target. Let me explain target. Again, one question. This time, I will pay 5,000 Turkish lira. Are you ready? I say ready. 2 days ago, I sent 500 Turkish lira to my student. I say, I made this. Who can tell me energy target? who can explain energy topic in a correct manner. 5,000 Turkish lira. It is not easy task. I didn't meet any person until now in my life who could say in a correct way this. This is the reality, unfortunately. I share this information with others. I also sent an email message to Manda, to Professor Manda, to be the president. This issue very, very crucial. Please consider this one. We people living in Turkey focus only objective, objective, objective. We need to change our direction by focusing on target. It is very, very crucial. This is my another job, to repeat this in every event. Why? You need to use this one. Okay. You need to consider this one. First, you should say exact number, three legs. There are 3 legs. You should say exact number. The second one, you should consider a baseline. The second one, and also you should consider the year you assess. There are 3 legs. If you can never include these 3 legs in your presentation, in your talk, this is not your energy target. This is only target. If you are saying more efficient, more environmental, more beautiful, this kind of round words are not. And also another important question, most people don't aware of this one. Objective. Please look at this one. Professor Zafer, it is very, very important.
Yes.
I am saying clearly. For example, in objective there is a trick. What is the trick? When you are talking about your objective, you don't need to give numbers. My objective is, for example, to explain this acrostic approach. It is okay, objective. If I am saying my objective, if I want to give some numbers, I need to consider long term. Please look at this one. Reduce facility electricity consumption by 12% by the end of 2025. You can give number in terms of year, but long term. This is another trick. Please take a picture of this. It is very, very crucial so that you can use this concept in a correct way. Last one, there are a number. Exergy performance. Exergy consumption. When you are talking about exergy consumption, you need to say in Turkish. Exergy, you should say numbers. Kilowatt hour, tons of electricity. This is energy consumption. When you are saying exergy or energy, when you are saying energy use, you should say where you are going to use this energy. In the lighting system, in the production line, for heating purpose, for cooling purpose, for which purpose you are going to use. This is energy use. Type of energy you are going to use. You are going to use. Okay, I am going to finish because this last issue also is very important. If you can give me 1 minute,
Yes.
because it is very, very crucial. If you can give me 1 minute. Professor Çengel also explained in a more detailed manner the second law of issues. When you are dealing with exergy, there are different definitions, and those are very complex. For example, one investigator says exergy efficiency, another person says another term, another terminology. Am I right, Professor Nietzsche? There are different terminologies, different symbols, notations. Even notations are different from each other. But this is also very important. Professor Çengel always indicated the second law of thermodynamics. Second law, according to second law, there is a comparison between actual and reversible cases. It is very clear. Actual and reversible cases. If we can make a comparison between these issues, this is the second law of efficiency. If we are talking about exergy efficiency, and it has different concepts, exergetic product divided by exergetic fuel, benefit. What is our benefit? What is our desired effect? What is our exergetic desired effect? We need to consider that one. Please look at this one. That is first law for a ranking cycle, let's say. That is second law. That is exergy efficiency. Because our desired effect is, let's say, from any kind of turbine to produce electricity. And the exertion of electricity is the same, identical. Then we need to write power produced by this turbine divided by this side exergetic fuel, we use here fuel. What is the exertion of this fuel? Time, mass flow rate. This is exergetic efficiency. There are different exergetic efficiencies. I am going to stop here. Thank you so much. There were many issues. I can talk later. Until tomorrow.
Thank you for your excellent presentation and about different exertion methods terms. This is new concept for me, and we can take question.
Please ask questions.
Question.
Everything is very clear. I am very happy.
No question at all.
Okay. Time is over, but sorry for this. Professor teacher recognized me. I always follow this time, but Professor gave me some flexibilities. A kind of torpil in Turkish we call torpil. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
We expressed our deepest appreciation to Section Chair Professor and Professor Arthur for their profound keynote talks. Their expertise and insights have significantly enriched our symposium, contributing to its success. Thank you for your invaluable contributions. And now I have the honor of our symposium chair, Professor Mehmet Ziya Süt, to the stage for a special presentation. Professor Mehmet Ziya Süt will be presenting a fact to our esteemed keynote speakers. And our session chair, Professor Zafer and Professor Arthur, in the recognition of their contributions to our session. Esteemed guests and participants, as we continue our symposium with our invited talks, let's extend a heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed session chair for expertly holding this session. Please join me in welcoming Professor Shikuli Vasila to the stage. Professor Shikuli Vasila hails from the Department of Physics at Military University in Constantine, Algeria. Her expertise spans a wide array of disciplines, including computational psychic, thermodynamics, statistics analysis, and applied mathematics. With a robust skill set encompassing mass transfer, mathematical modeling, calculations, numerical simulation, numerical analysis, and thermal engineering, Professor Vasila brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the forefront. Her contributions to these fields have been profound, showcasing excellence in the research and applications. It is an honor to have Professor Shikuli Vasila guide us through this session with her expertise and insight. Thank you very much. I will take the chair of the symposium chair of this conference, Mr. Stogov. For the good organization of this conference and the good welcome, he and his team of organization. And I will thank him also for he gave us the occasion to attend valuable speeches and debate, and gave us the occasion also to meet a lot of researchers from a lot of countries. Thank you another time. Now, Professor Levent Kurnaz. Mr. Levent Kurnaz will present us his theme of research. I'm presenting.
Good morning, everyone. We'll be jumping to a different topic, way different topic. And I just hope that we'll be talking in the afternoon or afterwards. There were lots of issues about the green energy technology, so my last word in this talk will be green energy. So everyone after that can be talking about that. Now, the thing that I will show you, this graph is basically the average temperatures on Earth for the past 100,000 years. And in all of these temperatures, this bottom here is about 6 degrees lower than today. Today, we are right at this end. Keep those things in mind, and that's about 1.5. And in all of these fluctuations, at one point here, at this point, the whole human population was about 240 people. About. Right here. And it went up and down, up and down. We were here around 100,000 people. At the top, we were 2 million people. And at the end of this, we are 8 billion. One simple outcome of this is that when temperatures fluctuate this much, we don't survive. If the temperatures are stable, we are in good shape. That is something we need to keep in mind. Because all of this will carry us to a notion called resilience. Unfortunately, we don't have a Turkish resilience. We try to.
we say dirençlilik, direngenlik, dayanıklılık. There are lots of words, but none of them counter directly for resilience, because resilience has three parts. One, you have a system, you hit the system, it shouldn't go down easily. Two, you hit the system, it collapses, but it has to get up quickly. Both of these is dirençlilik, which is okay in Turkish, but there is a third one. You hit it, it should lose. You hit it the second time, it learns from the first one and doesn't move as much. So your system has to have these three things. And humanity so far have all of these three properties. But within the last 50 years or so, we lost almost all of these three. We are walking, I'm coming from the physics background as well. We have phase transitions, you know these. And when you are going through a phase transition, right before the phase transition, you are on one phase, and then you make a change. You jump to another phase. This describes Istanbul's traffic. If it doesn't rain, it flows. A single drop falls, it stopped. So all of those systems, right at the edge of criticality, are difficult systems. And we have to move away from these critical systems. And on Earth, we are moving more and more towards these critical systems. And during COVID pandemic, we have seen how bad that was. Because until that time, the whole industry worked with the notion of just in time. Just in time meant nobody kept anything in their stores. Something came in, they built something, and they shipped it out. And if there is anything lacking in this chain, everything collapsed. And we all have seen this during COVID pandemic. Now, the issue is for us, for all of these chains to work properly. Nature gives us about 9 boundaries. And when we are within these 9 boundaries, within the yellow circle here, and these 9 boundaries are climate change, biosphere integrity, land system change, freshwater use, biogeochemical flows, ocean acidification, atmospheric aerosol loading, stratospheric ozone depletion, and known entities, which is all of the chemicals that we are spewing out. And if we are within this one, that means nature can forgive our mistakes. If we make a mistake, nature says, okay, you can change it this way, that way. That means we are far away from criticality. When we are within here, we are getting closer to criticality. Big mistakes will be dealt with harshly, small mistakes can be forgiven. But when you go beyond this red boundary, that means every small mistake you make will be punished harshly by the nature. And we have already gone beyond these in genetic biodiversity and nitrogen and phosphorus flows. In Marmara Sea, we have seen it 2 years ago, how a very small change made a huge difference in Marmara Sea. And we have seen that the temperatures have been almost horizontal for about 10,000 years. And this is what they are doing now. And this is up until 2022. Now, this is 2023. I mean, scientifically, when we look at this, you look at this curve and there are weird points here. Something must have happened in those places. And something must have happened here. But nothing has happened specifically. It is just a breaking point for the atmosphere. And when we look at these problems, you might remember this is from 2003, heat wave of August in France, and also all through this region. In 2 weeks, there had been, oh, actually, let's come to this one later. Heat wave is this, and this describes your definition of heat wave quite well. Unfortunately, this is not a heat wave. This is a heat wave. What happens is, they put you in a body bag. Fill that body bag with ice, and they give you 20 minutes. If your body temperature goes down to 36 degrees, you survive. If it doesn't, they zip the body bag and send you to the morgue. 70,000 people died in 2 weeks. And that is climate change. And all of these extremes are growing by the time. This is the last one, 2020, starting from 1980. And all of these are growing, and many of these are basically floods and storms. We need to be preparing for all of these things in the future. And is academia aware of this? Most. Are the governments aware of this? No. Are the businesses aware? Yes, internationally. This is from World Economic Forum in 2020. Every year, they investigate the threats that everything has on businesses. At the beginning, this was the first one in 2007. The major threat was infrastructure breakdown. Then chronic diseases. Chronic diseases mean heart conditions, diabetes, and stuff like that. They don't even talk about COVID here. Oil price shock, China, blow up in asset prices. And then still in 2008, many of the same things. 2009, and then we jump to 2018. The green ones are problems dealing with nature. And nature was getting stronger. I mean, there were two in 2018, cyber attacks and data fraud. And when we come to 2020, right before the COVID pandemic, extreme weather, climate action failure, nature disasters, biodiversity loss, human-made environmental disasters, everything the businesses see as threats were coming from natural causes or man-made natural causes. Let's come to this year, jump to 21-22, because there was COVID all through there. The first four, once again, IEEES said long-term is important. Long-term means at least 10 years. Failure to mitigate climate change, failure of climate change adaptation, natural disasters, biodiversity loss. And then the fifth one, large-scale involuntary migration. Why is the large-scale involuntary migration caused? Once again, because of climate change. So this is green as well. That one is green. When we come to the seventh one, only we reach some other problems which did not have any natural or climate participation. Then where does this climate change come from? When we look at the parts of it, 64% is burning fossil fuels. 11% is land use change and forestry, meaning we don't know how to do agriculture. Even we think we know, we don't. And then 18% here is methane, and methane is three basic components. One is once again from fossil fuel industry, one part, about 5%. Another 5% is from rice cultivation, and about 5% is from animal husbandry. And the rest is not important. We have to concentrate on this part. This is 3/4. And if we just put all of them, it's about 90-something%, just carbon dioxide and methane. Just leave methane, it's 3/4. Just leave all of the land use change, 2/3 is coming from only fossil fuel use. And which sectors? Everybody's doing. When we look at the energy systems, they're at the top, yes. 34%. A third of all of our problems are coming from energy systems. Another 24% is industry. 22% is agriculture and forestry. About 15% is transport. About 6% are buildings. And what do we do against this? Unfortunately, nothing. The first time we met was in 1992, and we talked about all of the climate issues, and everyone said this climate change is a huge thing, it's very bad. We should do something about it. Do we agree? Oh, yeah, sure. It's a bad thing, we have to stop it. If you ask questions in the international arena, like, should we stop this? Is this a bad thing? Everyone says yes. And that is, every year, we have to get together at the end of the year and consider what we have done and what we should be doing. And during those times, we have to decide on concrete steps what to do. Do we agree on this one? Yeah, we agree. And on the third one of these meetings at the end, which we call Conference of the Parties, COP, developed countries got together in Kyoto and said, okay, we have to stop this climate change. We have to go back to before 1990 emission levels. Only developed countries. Even on that, they couldn't agree. US said, we don't care. And many of the other developed countries said, we don't care. And China wasn't there, India wasn't there, none of the oil-producing countries were there. Just the rest, basically EU, Russia, Australia, China. Unfortunately, Canada was there and then decided not to be there. But this covered the period, the Kyoto Protocol covered the period between 2008 and 2012. Then, at the middle of this period, in 2009, countries got together and said, okay, what are we going to be doing after 2012? They couldn't decide. In 2010, they got together and they couldn't decide. In 11, they couldn't decide. 12, they couldn't decide. 13, they couldn't decide. 14, they couldn't decide. And what happens is, right at the end of the meeting in 2014 in Lima, the Chinese delegate came in and said, okay, I have an idea. Okay, tell me about the idea. Let's have an agreement. Okay, we are all trying to have an agreement. No, he says, just an agreement. It doesn't have to do anything. But there has to be an agreement. We have to go to the people and say, we agreed on something. And they agreed. The thing they agreed was, they had all of the countries what they would like to do to stop climate change. Not, once again, what they shall do, what they should do, not what they must do, just what they would like to do. Okay? All of the countries stated what they would like to do till the end of 30th of September of 2015. And then UN summed up all of these, what I would like to do, and they said, okay, let's call this a Paris Agreement. Do we agree on this? Everyone would do what they would like to do. Yeah, everyone was agreeing. Somebody said, but I mean, this climate change is bad. We have already agreed that if climate change goes about 2 degrees, global warming goes about 2 degrees, humanity will be in bad shape. Let's say we will keep the warming below 2 degrees. Fine. I mean, everybody will do whatever they would like to do, and we will keep global warming under 2 degrees. Do we agree on this one? Everyone was agreeing, and then a small group came out and said, we are coming from the small islands in the Pacific. If the Earth warms by 2 degrees, then we'll be in bad shape. Let's say 1.5 degrees. And they said, okay. Limit the rise below 2 degrees. Below 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels, and preferably limit the increase to 1.5 degrees. Do we agree on this one? We agree, including Turkey. Okay? And still everyone agrees with that. But there's a problem. There are lots of problems. The major problem is this. This is what the countries are promising to do. This is what they would like to do. How much carbon dioxide we should be giving out. This is what the countries would like to do. And all the time since 2015, everyone was pressuring the governments to do more and more. And this orange one is what the countries finally agreed to do. Not what they are doing. They agreed to do this. Whether they will be doing this or not is another question. And only 4 countries globally are saying or doing what they say. None of the countries even are following the path they said they will follow. They would like to follow. And this one here, the dash green one, is what we should be doing to survive. This is what the countries would like to do. This is what they are forced to do. And this is what they must do. Now, this is how we are going, the current policies, how much carbon dioxide we are giving out. And the countries are saying that we should be reaching 2100 at this level, but to be at this level means we have to suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And do you know how huge these things are? What will we do with all of that carbon dioxide? I mean, how much carbon dioxide do we need globally? I will not give you 1,000 euros, okay? Because I don't know the answer. But I'm sure it won't be this much. Maybe 1/100th of this or thousands of this. This is all the industry needs. But our future will depend to suck carbon dioxide out of the air, fine. But what are we going to do with that carbon dioxide is unclear. Now, the whole problem is coming from the reason of how we are calculating this. Now, for example, Turkey emitted 560 million tons of carbon dioxide last year. did you emit 560 million divided by 85 million? Only that much. Or did you emit more? So how do we calculate this? First one is we look at Turkey. I mean, within the boundaries, how much coal, natural gas, oil you burn. Because we know how much carbon dioxide goes out is emitted out of those things. Then we calculate how much methane, because it comes from this and that. We add all of these up, and it ends up with 560 million tons. Where do we put this one? I'm using this. You are actually benefiting from this, but this is not produced in Turkey. Most probably it's either coming from China or Korea. Shall I count this in Turkey or in Korea or in China? It's beneficial for the developed countries to count this in China and then blame all of the problems for China. But I'm using it, all of the US is using it, all of the EU is using this. So the better one is the consumption perspective, meaning how much am I consuming a year? Out of that, you should do the calculation. But just like I just said, it's difficult. It needs numbers, and it needs expertise. It needs many people to do the calculation. Because how much carbon dioxide is emitted by producing this? You know? I don't, okay? But it can be calculatable. And then we can know, I mean, we are transporting this from China to here, and we are using it. We have batteries inside. We have all the numbers. We can calculate these. But we need thousands of educated people to do this. Hence, we need more universities, actually. Better educated students in universities. Because a new industrial model is coming. And this new model cannot survive without doing these calculations. Meaning, for example, do you know how much lead we have left globally? Pushing. How much will it last? Where is lead used? Mostly in cars. And we have about 20 years of stock left globally. After that, what are we going to do? What do you do with old cars? Basically throw them away. You never recycle cars. But do we have to replace our cars that? Or, I mean, do we have to replace this, that, or your cell phones? I mean, in Turkey, we are replacing cell phones every 9 months or so on average. That's huge. I mean, do we have to do all of this? Do we have to replace any of this? Anything? Or shall we reuse or repurpose, recycle? So, but to be able, for example, I'll ask you one question. You have all of these water bottles. Shall we use plastic water bottles or glass water bottles? Your answer will be very simple. You say, of course, glass. Is that the correct answer? Did you do the calculation? Do you have any clue about how much energy is being used in that plastic container versus the glass container? If you would like to recycle the plastic one, how much energy will you use and how many times can you recycle? In how many different shapes can you recycle? Versus what you can do with glass. And then what's the basis for glass? What do we use to make glass? It's basically sand, which is almost worthless. Versus when you look at plastic, there's a huge price difference between these. So we need to be careful and do the calculations for that. And we have to go to this new era of doing business. And we need finance for this. And these finance issues are very complicated. I mean, I'm a physicist. Think about quantum mechanics. Multiply it by 1,000 when you're talking about this. And they are making rules. For example, EBRD is saying that we have to align all of our investments with Paris Agreement, which means if you are going to be building a railway in Turkey, you go to EBRD for finance and ask them for money. They say, okay, you have to prove two things from now on. One, this investment will not harm climate. And two, this investment will not be harmed by climate. So how do we do this? Do we have a clue? Once again, no, and this is not Turkish specific. In many places, people will have to do all of these calculations. And to be able to do that, once again, is my work affected by climate change? But what I said, green, that's the last word, as I said, green. We have physical risks on our jobs and transition risk. What does physical risk mean? I mean, if you have a factory and if it's flooded, that's physical. Or if you have workers working outside, it's a summer heat and thousands of people die on the fields, that's yet another risk. But the transition risk is, if I do everything according to the Paris Agreement, I will be losing some money. Banks will be losing some money, and all of the businesses will be losing some will be making money. But our net sum will be negative, for sure. And those are your transition risks. You need to calculate all of these. And unfortunately, how many people are here from finance or economics? It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Okay? Because they will not understand all of these things. They are handling all of these issues, but they have no clue about how to calculate these things. They need engineers. They need scientists to calculate these things. And so far, none of the finance people have been working with engineers on real issues like this. And then we have to go to, we need to grow because our population is growing. So we have to choose a way. We either depend on coal, or we depend on natural gas, or we depend on renewable energy. And that's a decision. With this one, we will die. With this one, we will die a little later. And with this one, we survive. It's very simple. I mean, once again, from the engineering perspective, things are simple. I mean, you either survive or you don't. I mean, there is no in-between state. Okay, I thank you for your patience.
For the valuable speech. Now we pass to the questions. Do you have any question? No question?
I can make it long enough. Thank you for the presentation. It was very eye-opening time. My comment is going to be really not fully question, but also, opening your comment at the end, as you have mentioned. Engineers are needed, especially in the field of economy or finance. So one key thing I can give example from Canada, that they have financial engineering programs, and the financial institutions have started hiring engineers.
Oh, but it has been that way for a long time, but they are using it for iPads.
Yeah, but the now having such, let's say, local and global, let's say, climatic issues, and on top of that, of course, energy-related issues and projects, so making it now even more critical to really deploy engineers. But this is not only limited to engineers, to really bring all types of people as related to this, since it is an interdisciplinary subject.
Exactly.
So really, your message is very important. This is what I like to emphasize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other question? Okay, thank you, sir. So the next presentation of Professor Derek Becker. Welcome.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank Professor Zia Sohn, John Osgood-Cholhan for inviting me. Also, I'd like to thank Isama, who is my personal assistant. It's been very, very nice having you. Concentrating solar thermal CST as an enabling technology for the clean energy transition. And so I want to thank the previous speaker. The previous speaker really, really dovetailed with some of the background for my presentation. And so to me, the key word here is transition. We can call this the clean energy transition, you can call it like the green economy transition, but it's a transition. And basically, over the course of history, society's gone through a series of transitions. And as long as we successfully get through the transition, we're okay. If we don't make it through the transition, then we're in trouble. So this is our challenge, this is our transition, and I will frame this in terms of the clean energy transition. So yesterday morning, I was on the train coming here thinking about my presentation. I opened up the program, and this is what I saw. A blank slate, invited talk number 5. And so I always thought, I don't think they ever told me what they were going to talk about. And I don't think I ever told them. And so I thought, well, what do I want to talk about? And as I was thinking about this yesterday, working on my presentation, thinking about this, I'll come back to this in a later slide, but I thought, okay, maybe I should talk about what I've been thinking a lot about this fall. And this fall, I've been thinking a lot about vision. And so this was a comment from a project officer from the European Commission for an EU-funded project. We'll come back and talk about this. Even if the proposals fail, you have the vision. And so they appreciate the vision, even if there's failure associated with this. And so I started with this title yesterday on the train, but I think the title has kind of evolved since yesterday. I'm not too sure what the title should be, but things that are going through my mind a lot right now are EU projects. So we're working on one proposal that closes in about 30 weeks, another one that closes in March, another 2 that close in September, another one that closes in, I think, November. So lots of EU projects. This is what I think a lot of as EU projects. Vision, as we talked about here, vision. These become important. Risk. I think a lot about risk, calculated risk, high reward activities, because writing EU proposals is incredibly risky, high risk of failure. And so, how do I deal with failure? If I am heavily involved in high risk, high reward activities, I'm going to fail a lot. I have a lot of failures. And how do I deal with this? Target audience. So who is my target audience for this presentation? And so then I thought, okay, what I really want to do is I'm going to target nominally students. Because ultimately, if there's going to be solutions that help us get through this transition, it's going to come from the students. It's not going to come from me. I tried, I couldn't do it. And alignment. And so ultimately, what I think a lot about is alignment. And so when then Andrew talked about the engineers and the finance people, and they're not talking. And this to me is a huge problem. We need to get the finance and the engineers people talking, and we need to get them aligned. We need to get all these different actors aligned. And this becomes one of the challenges that I think a lot about is alignment. Not trying to create so much technical solutions, but creating alignment. So then my presentation kind of has three main parts. CST, this is kind of classical EU activities. The vision is kind of what I put in last night, and then the conclusions. And so this first part, CST, is kind of the classical overview of concentrated solar thermal, CST. So conceptually, this is basically taking a magnifying glass, concentrating solar energy, and starting a fire. So basically, instead of combusting coal or natural gas or using nuclear energy, we can concentrate solar energy and make something hot. Once we make something hot, we can make steam, and we have all these great purposes. So this is the background. But lenses tend to be expensive. And so in practice, we don't use lenses, we use mirrors. Mirrors tend to be cheap. And so this is one geometry, a parabolic dish, and it concentrates the solar energy onto this focal point. The focal point becomes very, very hot. And you can do things with the heat. This dish, though, this geometry is expensive to manufacture. And so this dish is approximated using a field of heliostats. And so these are almost flat layers distributed over a field, and you concentrate this onto a tower. We'll come back to see this geometry in a later slide. This is called the parabolic trough. You have the parabolic shape, but now it's in a trough format, or linear format. And this becomes the receiver tube. And this is the most commercially mature technology, is this parabolic trough technology. But again, you have this parabolic shape. And this parabolic shape is expensive to manufacture. And so we can approximate this parabolic shape using a series of almost flat layers. This is called linear Fresnel. These are our four core technologies, four core geometries. Each one has a different characteristic temperature. And so the best technology varies with the application, both in terms of the power requirement and also in terms of the temperature. So a key idea, though, is for concentrated solar thermal, this only works on sunny days. And so probably as a kid, you took a magnifying glass, and on a sunny day you went outside, you held the magnifying glass just right, and you could start a fire. If you tried that in the shade, or you tried that when it was cloudy, it doesn't work. And this is a limitation relative to photovoltaics. Photovoltaics works everywhere. Concentrated solar thermal only works in sunny areas. And so if you think about whether or not today is a good day for CST or not, you step outside and you look at the shadows. If you have really sharp shadows, it means the CST is going to work really, really well. If you don't have any shadows on a cloudy day, it's not going to work at all. So this technology is geographically limited to places where you have strong shadows throughout the year. And so basically, as you go into this red region, pinkish, are the regions that have the best resources. As you go down into the blue, they are the worst regions. So you have these hot spots. Chile, the northern part of Chile, is the best place globally to do this. So this is where a lot of the markets are.
The southeastern U.S. is where this was kind of born. So you can see right here, this is the southwestern U.S., this red part here. Spain has really, really good resources. So Spain is this blue part. And then you have Australia, and you have South Africa, and you have the Middle East and Northern Africa across here, and also southern China. And so again, one of the key ideas though is that the markets are co-located with a lot of sunlight, right? So very, very strong shadows. If we go more to a regional basis, this becomes more important to me because I work in European networks. Basically, Spain has built the largest capacities, also the largest market potentials, because they have really, really good sunlight and also a large population. My guess is after Spain, Turkey probably has the best largest market potentials in Europe. This is because we have good sunlight and we have a big population. And so this becomes my competitive advantage because I'm in Turkey, I'm at Birliği'ni University in Ankara. And so I collaborate with people from Spain, from France, from Italy, other European countries. I think about where's the future for CST, and I think, well, the future for CST includes Turkey. We need someone from Turkey. Hey, go get that paper guy. And they come to me. So competitive advantage. And so in terms of CST's competitive advantage, the two kind of key competitive advantage points right now are it is more efficient than photovoltaic and wind for heat production because you're directly making heat. This becomes one idea. It's efficient for heat production. The second idea is that the thermal energy storage is cost effective. It's commercially mature. And so basically for this thermal energy storage, you can think about along the Mediterranean and the Aegean coast of Turkey, on top of every single apartment building, you have your hot plate solar collectors, and you have the storage tank on top. It's there because it's cheap. And you can take your shower at nighttime, early in the morning, because you have the storage. And so basically for commercial CST, we take the same thermal energy storage technology that's ubiquitous in homes, apartments throughout Turkey, and we just scale it up to higher capacities and higher temperatures. So Turkey has competitive advantages. Really, really good solar resources, large population, also an industrial base that can produce the underlying technologies. Barriers, so why are we using this for? Well, one is the cost, the second one is the know-how, and the third one are public policies. So all of these become barriers. For the applications, historically, this has been to produce electricity. And so when this market in Spain grew about 15 years ago, it was because 15 years ago, CST was much cheaper than PV to produce electricity. And so Spain installed lots of CST. Subsequently, the price for PV dropped incredibly, much more than anyone predicted. Now PV is dirt cheap to produce electricity. But the problem is that PV only produces cheap electricity when the sun is shining. At nighttime, when you add in storage, the price goes up. And so in contrast, CST has relatively cheap thermal energy storage. And so what you see is in some areas, you see a PV plant, and next to it you see a CST plant. During the day, the PV power plant is producing electricity. During the day, the CST power plant is charging a big thermal energy storage tank. And then at nighttime, when the PV is not producing, they discharge the CST storage tank. So PV produces cheap electricity during the day. The CST produces valuable electricity at night. And so now you have this model for 24/7 solar electricity generation. And this is what's being done right now. There's huge market potential right now that everyone is looking at. This has been a fundamental shift over the past 5 years. Just 5 years ago, the focus was on electricity generation. Now the focus is on industrial process heat. We need to decarbonize industry. It's a huge gap, huge opportunities. And so this is where there's a lot of growth potentials in the short term. I can see an example of this. The next one is the transportation fuels. And so you can use concentrated solar thermal to do things like make hydrogen, also to make synthetic liquid fuels.
The final one over here is fresh and clean water. There are people working on this, but most of the research, though, is into, right now, really the transportation fuels and the industrial processing sector. So my EU activities were seeded by EU Solaris. And so because Europe has some of the largest installed capacities, a lot of this capacity was done using European technology. Europe has a lot of very large research infrastructures, very, very unique and valuable at global level. And so what Europe wants to do is, there's some of these research infrastructure in Spain, some are in France, some are in Portugal, some are in Germany, some are in Italy, and some are in Cyprus. They want to pull this together under a global organization called EU Solaris, ARAC. ARAC is a European Research Infrastructure Consortium. This is a picture of a facility in the Pyrenees in the south of France. These are the heliostat fields reflecting solar energy. This is the secondary reflector, and this is the receiver. This is a building. Huge facility, biggest one in the world. You can do things here that you can't do anywhere else. You can't do anywhere else. And so what Europe wants to do is bring these research infrastructures together to increase its global competitiveness. Because the US also has some really, really big infrastructures. So I leveraged this EU Solaris to write my first successful EU project called Solar Twins. It scored in the top 8% of proposals at European level. It was the only successful proposal out of 23 submitted from Turkey. And so this is partially because I'm good, partially because I got lucky. It was the first successful Horizon 2020 proposal coordinated by me. Our budget was 400K euros. The consortium was 800K. This ended last June. And so this is what we were basically doing was we were twinning Me2 to CMAT, which is from Spain, and DLR from Germany, which are two of the globally leading research institutes in CST. And it was basically, they were helping us to develop our capacities. We did many, many different things, activities, but the one that was the most impactful was I had money to send students to CMAT and to DLR for research visits. And I didn't appreciate this when I was writing the proposal, but in hindsight, this became transformational for the students. And so I was speaking with Professor Ginger last night. He said he takes students from ULIS to Canada for research visits. And I thought, wow, that is so awesome. Because from my experience, this is transformational. Huge impact on these students' lives. And this is what I'm trying to follow up on. This is what provided a huge return on investment. And I'm trying to find ways to continue this. So this was my most recent successful proposal. This was called Solar Hub. It scored in the top 10% at EU level. It was the first EU project coordinated by GUNOM. So GUNOM spun out from Me2 about 2 years ago. It was Turkey's only European excellence, actually should be Excellence Hub project. This is the title as well. European Hub, Excellence Hub. Consortium budget, 5 million. GUNOM, about 900K. Me2, 170K. We have 11 Turkish, 7 Greek, and 3 Western European partners. We started last January. We are celebrating our first birthday in a few years. And so basically what we're trying to do is we are developing a hub, a solar energy hub. And some key characteristics are this includes what's called the quadruple helix. We have partners from academia, from business, from public authority, and societal actors. And so we have these different people talking. And for me, it's fascinating because we don't talk well together, especially academia and business. We speak different languages. And this becomes a barrier to the transition, because we need to get the academics and the business people talking and understanding one another. And so we have 3 main work packages, one on strategies and policies. For example, we're working on developing a bilateral call with Greece to fund activities. The second one is on strengthening our green capacities, green innovation capacities. The third one is accelerating joint research and innovation projects. So we have 4 what are called pre-designs 2 focusing on solar thermal technologies, 2 focusing on photovoltaics. The 2 photovoltaics is what is called agro-photovoltaics. And for agro-photovoltaics, you co-locate your PV with agricultural land. And if it's done properly, this can actually increase the yield of your agriculture. And so now you have the farmland that is producing 2 revenue streams, electricity and agriculture. And again, if done properly, this increases the revenue stream from the agricultural side. CST for all. And so this all means 2 things. One is that the European Commission, who funds this, is increasingly interested in what are called integrated solutions. So not CST as an isolated technology, but CST integrated into a larger portfolio. Additionally, historically, CST, the markets have been in the Mediterranean region, and the markets are expanding up into like Central and Western Europe. And so all refers to both geographical footprint, also interfacing CST with other technologies. And so we are running a series of 8 workshops, 4 that are focused on industry and 4 that are focused on research and innovation. And so these are the partners, again, CMAT from Spain, EMEA from Italy, DLR from Germany, O2 from Turkey, and Estella, which is the European Solar Thermal Electricity Association. Another project, GeoSmart. And so as the name suggests, this is a geothermal project. And for geothermal power plants, the capacity decreases in the summertime because the ambient temperature goes up and your condenser temperature goes up. If you know the Carnot efficiency, 1 minus TC over TH, in the summertime, TC becomes large, your efficiency goes down. And this is mapped out into what's actually happening in these power plants. So you have the geothermal operators here in the Aegean region, their power output's going down in the summer, they walk outside and say, man, it's hot. And then a light bulb goes off. Well, let's hybridize geothermal with CST. In theory, it is a very nice idea. And so in Turkey, we have this co-location of geothermal also with good solar energy resources. And so the commission saw this. So in the call that we submitted to, it was like increased geothermal flexibility, including the potential to use CST and biomass. And so then the people writing the proposal contacted me because we have background in this and said, okay, can you do some more work in here? So we are looking at hybridization of geothermal with CST and also biomass in the Kizilbary region outside of Denizli. So our networks. And so this is us here, O2 Bunam. The horizontal lines are different activities. And so we have our core partners, PSA, DLR, Estella, Cress, and SUR on the left-hand side from Greece. And I love our Greek partners. For Solar Hub, our Greek partners perform so well. And so I love collaborating with them. It's been great. Moving farther out, we come into another set where we collaborate, just not as much. And so bring in people from Italy, from the UK, and Cyprus, and other countries, going farther out. And so this kind of becomes my overall network map. And so this is from the European level. And then nationally, we have 13 institutions from Ankara, Istanbul, Izmir, and Konya, covering the quadruple helix. And then we have our internal institutional networks. I collaborate a lot with people from different departments from across O2. So this is a summary of our EU activities. These are the different projects. The 2 in yellow are the 2 that I'm coordinating. So Solar Twins ended last June, and we're just about to celebrate the 1-year anniversary for Solar Hub. Additionally, and this has been critically important for me, I have been supporting the evaluation of EU proposals. I've done this 20 times so far. And so I work here not as the expert evaluator, but as a reporter, which basically means I write the report. And so I listen to the experts and what they say, and I reflect what they're saying into a sentence that is legally defendable. This is because the European CSP community is really, really small. And when I tried to serve as an expert, I always had conflict of interest. And so we said, okay, I can't serve as an expert to evaluate because I have too many conflicts of interest, but I can write reports for all kinds of renewable energy areas. And so I've served for calls for wind, offshore wind, for batteries, for building energy technologies, for synthetic fuel production, all different kinds of areas. And I sit and I listen to people discuss these ideas, and it gives me a more holistic perspective for the clean energy transition. It also gives me insight into how the proposals are evaluated, how the experts think, and this becomes key. So this is where I went yesterday before I came to the conference. This is Helios team. It's located down the road in Birliği'ni. And so this is, Birliği'ni just down the road. This is the central receiver. This is the heliostat field. So basically these heliostats were taken from a previous unit in Mersin along the Mediterranean coast. So they moved up a small set of these, they concentrate solar energy. The mares are supplied by Shishinjan. And so this is 100%, from my understanding, 100% domestic technology. Everything's developed domestic, produced domestically. They concentrate this onto the tower. You see the view of the tower there, the view of the tower there. These are two heliostats. And so their target application is industrial process steam. They are targeting industry, not to generate electricity, but industry to decarbonize industrial processes. And they want to do this, they think that they can become cost competitive with a size of about 3 to 5 megawatts thermal power capacity. So the key size here is 3 to 5 megawatt thermal, and we talk a lot about what they're doing and how they can commercialize this. And so this is not unique, but all over the place. I see all these ideas, these startup companies bubbling up with ideas about how to use CSP to decarbonize industry, because it's a huge gap. We either solve this or we're going to be in big problems. So this is Elu Gidik. She's a former master's student of mine. And so for the Solar Twins project, I had 3 master's students. One of them failed horribly. Huge failure. I can put his face up. Another one used Solar Twins to advance his own interests, but not the interests of Solar Twins. I didn't put his picture up here either. Elu was amazing. She took a very small opportunity and she extracted all of this value for herself. She is now a PhD student at RWTHI, supported by a EU project. She was highly recruited. She also added an incredible amount of value to this project. And so a large part, Solar Twins was successful because of her. And this was a larger comment from our final review meeting. So many times at this final meeting, we spend time discussing what comes next. It's not clear. In your case, it is perfectly clear. Even if the proposals fail, you have a vision. So the context for this was, as a final deliverable, we had about 10 pages of content, and we had 3 appendices, being 3 proposals. 2 of the proposals were successful, 1 of them failed spectacularly. Best proposal ever written, and it failed. But anyway, we had the vision. How long do I have? 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. So I thought about this, and Abel was the one who did all the hard work. And this is, I got all the credit. I thought, that's kind of cool. Abel does the work, I get the spotlight. This is for our Solar Hub project. And so this is Hande Aeriomots. And so she is the project manager. She's the one who manages on a day-to-day basis, and she does an incredible job for this. Everything is running so smoothly. And I talk to other people working on other projects, and there's lots of drama for other Horizon Europe projects. Things don't work well. Our project works really, really well because of her. And because of her, I get to come here and speak to you. She's back in Ankara working right now. So for me, this is cool. She does all the work, I get to stand up here. A nice setup. And so both Eylül and Hande, they are using these opportunities to reach their ambitions. They're both very ambitious people. They're both really, really good. And they think that Solar Hub and Solar Twins were the best things that ever happened to them. It's a win-win situation. Good for them, good for me. And I think, okay, I can replicate this. I can build a very successful career where I create opportunities and the students are the ones who do all of the work and they benefit their own professional career, but they also benefit me. And it comes down to this alignment of individual interests with project goals. So this is things that have been going randomly through my mind. Lots of things going through my mind. And so sometimes I wonder if I'm going crazy or not. I think there's a fine line between being a visionary and being a crazy person. And sometimes you don't know the difference until it's too late. So I've supported about 20 EU evaluations. And what I see is that proposals are successful for two conditions. The first is that they are objectively better than the others. And the other is just, they get lucky. And I've seen so many cases where projects are funded simply because there was something happened that was not repeatable. It was random, it was luck. And I see this happen a lot, especially between the lowest ranked proposal that's funded versus the highest ranked proposal that's not funded. The difference between the two is often just dumb luck. Proposals fail because other proposals are objectively better. And also sometimes proposals fail just because of bad luck. And so you look at this, you have 4 outcomes, only one of them is within your control. And so to me, this is very important to me. Is I think, okay, when I submit a new proposal, the outcome to a large extent does not reflect me, it reflects something else. And so if I fail, it's not my fault. And so although this is what I see happening during the evaluations for my own proposals, there's only 2 things that happen for my proposals. The first is that I get funded because mine is better, or I fail because of bad luck. I've never failed because other proposals are better. And this protects my psychology, because I have a very fragile psychology. Second idea, so if I want to write a successful EU proposal, ultimately what I need to do is I need to align individual capacities. So if you're in this room, you have capacities. Align this with ambitions. And so this becomes a key part. A lot of people that have the capacity, they don't have the ambitions. So this becomes like at a personal level. I try to find people with capacities and ambitions. What I can supply are the networks, the enabling networks, and then the vision. And this vision is where I need to align the interests of the individuals, the institution, the national, and European. If I can get this alignment, and if I can communicate this alignment inside the proposal, I have a very strong chance of being funded. If it's funded, I have a very strong chance of having a successful project. And so this alignment of interests, and this is what I think a lot about right now, is how do I align this? So the EU proposals, as I said, are high risk, high reward, which means it's a lot of failure. My personal goal is a 25% success rate. And this means that every time I submit a proposal, I think 75% chance it's going to be rejected. And this is difficult, to spend all this time on a proposal thinking most likely it will be rejected, that I need to submit nominally about 4 proposals to get 1 accepted. But because the reward is so high that even if I only get a 25% success rate, I am considered successful. I'm up here because people consider me successful. What I have showed you is all of my successes. I have not showed you all of my failures. I could talk for twice as long about all my failures. Okay, gaps and opportunities. I think a lot about academic business relations, because ultimately, if we are going to successfully get through this transition, we need to have the academics and the business people talking to one another. And this is also, I'm reflecting what I see the Commission is saying. The European Union has the money, they're the customer is always right. The European Commission is saying, we need stronger academic business relations. I say, okay, we need stronger academic business relations. I'll write a proposal about this. So the customer is always right. This is where the money is. Co-creation. The Commission says a lot of our problems are not technical. There are so many non-technical challenges to getting through this transition. And in order to overcome these non-technical challenges, we need what's called co-creation. And so for the co-creation has resulted in the Solar Hub and us having the academic, the business, the public authority, and our public societal actors all in the same consortium, all collaborating on these designs. Innovation targeted research. And so this is something that I think we don't do as well in Turkey as they do in Germany. So I'm looking a lot at Germany because I talk with German researchers, they have this vision for how their research is going to be commercialized at a very early stage. And we don't have this as much in Turkey. It's a gap. Net zero industry, a huge, huge, huge gap. It is a huge growth area in Western Europe right now. It's not being done in Turkey. I think within the next 5 years, this is going to be a huge growth area. And then finally, this green economy transition. And so going beyond just the energy transition to include things like no one left behind, social equality, do no significant harm principle, economic growth through green innovation. So this is a vision that I have. This is our project Solar Hub. These outline circles are follow-up proposals. And I can say that this vision for me makes perfect sense. When I talk to other people in Solar Hub, though, they twist their face around and they don't get it. So I don't know if I'm wrong or they're wrong. But to me, this makes perfect sense. I see so many opportunities to use our Solar Hub as a platform for follow-up proposals and hopefully follow-up projects. And so I see an abundance. It's something I did not see a year ago, abundance. Sitting here in Turkey, I see abundance. And this is an abundance of opportunities to fail, because these are high-risk, high-reward activities. And there's going to be an incredible number of failures, and that's okay. Because I also hope that we have some successes. And as long as we have some successes for some high-return, high-reward activities, we're going to be okay. And I think about this academic business relations. This is where I am increasingly turning my attentions. How do we somehow strengthen this? I think, okay, I spoke with these people, I understand their problems. Their problems are not technical, their problems are business. Can I find / create an opportunity that enables healing them to solve their own problems? And to me, this would be an awesome model. I don't solve the problems. I just create an opportunity for them to solve their own problems. And I have some ideas about how I'm able to do this. And for me, I want to somehow link my own success to this. I create the opportunity. They work really, really hard because they're good. They're ambitious. One more slide. They become successful, and I get to stand up on stage. It's good. So this becomes the final slide, the vision, where I would like to go. This is our Solar Hub as an EU project. This is the end date at the end of 2026. And I want to start establishing something that is permanent, and that brings in new partners, and that catalyzes and accelerates the clean energy transition in Turkey and the Eastern Mediterranean region. So thank you very much for your time.
Any question?
Thank you for your excellent presentation. In your talk, you have already highlighted the important issues. but could you summarize for our young generation your valuable recommendations?
Can I summarize?
Could you summarize your recommendations for young generation that are here, young people sitting there, how they can apply a project and what they can do?
What can they do?
In a few words, but a summary of your recommendations.
The question, I think, is can I give some advice to the younger generation about EU proposals? Is that a summary? Successful EU proposals. So, the first EU proposal that I wrote, I thought it was the best proposal ever. It failed, and I learned actually it's not so good. And so this becomes difficult because it's a process. It's not something that is easy. It is hyper competitive. And so our solar hub is a €5 million project. Because it's 5 million euros, everyone's trying to do it. And they're really, really good. So it's not easy. And you're like me, you failed a lot. Again, I didn't put up all my failures. I have a lot of failures. And so the only thing that you can do, though, is just try. There's this trial and error. And so for Elu Giddick, I spoke with her yesterday, and she said, I want to write an EU proposal while I am a PhD student because it is a safe time to fail. I can fail as a PhD student, I still have my research money. After I graduate, failing becomes more risky, more costly. And so she wants to write an EU proposal for the experience, for the long-term trajectory where, yes, her first proposal may fail, but she will learn from this and she will develop her capacities. So it's a long-term vision. And she is going to be a transformative person at European level because she's very, very ambitious. But she understands that there is going to be failure.
Other question? Okay, thank you.
We extend our sincere appreciation to our session chair, Professor Piri Reis, Professor Levent Kurnaz, and Professor Derek Baker for their insightful, enlightened talks. Their expertise and contributions have enriched our symposium, fostering valuable discussions. Our esteemed guests, I kindly invite our symposium chair, Professor Mehmet Ziya Söğüt, to the stage for a special presentation. Professor Söğüt will be presenting a certificate to our honorable session chair, Professor Piri Reis, Professor Levent Kurnaz, and Professor Derek Baker for their exceptional contributions. Thanks to our session chair, Professor Piri Basila, Professor PRÜ'nün, and Professor Derek Baker for their invaluable contributions. Your expertise has enriched our symposium. Our esteemed guests, now it's time for a coffee break. Please enjoy your break and maybe we'll resume after our session. Thank you.